So the question of leadership, but that was pushed on me over and over, and people were pressuring over a period of time. And I remember very clearly when it was clear that the NNP is going forward the general election, and the Prime Minister then, Robert Blaze, was seriously handicapped. He was basically in a wheelchair. And it was clearly identified that he was a very sick person. And that most likely that we don't control life, so we don't know. But it's clear that he was able to function. And otherwise, and that he was deteriorating. Pressure was applied because of my work in the Ministry of Work. As I said, that brought me into limelight. There was a lot of pressure from several quarters of the party. And so I remember when I realized the pressure was becoming enormous, I called a meeting with Ben Jones, who was Mr. Blaze's deputy, because they were together over a period of time, and told him that I was getting a lot of pressure from people to look at the possibility that I'm uncomfortable with it, and I wanted to go to Robert Blaze and tell him to appoint Ben Jones, and I would support him. And he said, well, you try your luck. So I asked Mr. Blaze for the meeting, and myself, Ben Jones, and Robert Blaze met at his office at the Botanical Gardens, and I approached him. And I think, fortunately for us, we had the results of a serious scientific survey, because the NDP was now NDC, because George Bruzan left and formed the party. And I remember Mr. Blaze was going to be beaten badly in Carriacou by Nicholas Braffett from the survey. And NDC would not win the election, but we were facing a situation where there might have to be a coalition government without Blaze there, because he couldn't win his seat. And I remember I approached Mr. Blaze and I told him to make Ben Jones a leader. And the only question he asked me, what do I want? He asked me, what do you want? I said, well, I'll just support him. And so when I left his office, and I went to Ben Jones' office, I said, you know this man. No, he did say at the end, I heard you and I'll get back to you. Something like that. He didn't agree with me that Ben Jones should be leader at that time. But he didn't say no, he didn't say yes. So I went back to the office and I said, Ben, you know Blaze better than I do. What do you think his answer will be? And Ben Jones told me that Blaze ain't going away. He was very clear. He didn't have any but about it. No but. So we are faced with the pressure started mounting more on me. And in the final analysis, I had to yield, because I would have been finished politically if I had not accepted. That's a hard fact. But I knew that would split the party. Because when I did finally agree to accept and run against Robert Blaze in the convention, was a painful decision. People that knew me well, they said that's one of the worst speech that I gave. Because when you are speaking, Amanda, and you are not comfortable, you never sound good. But people felt that they wanted. So I finally I won the leadership, and Mr. Blaze subsequently fired me from the cabinet, which is what I expected. Okay, I did tell him while I became leader, I have no pretension that I technically, it would be said that if a party leadership change while the government is in office, the new leader should become the prime minister. That's how the system normally works. But I wanted no consideration at all. And I told Mr. Blaze that I would continue to support him as prime minister until the general elections. But subsequently, he was being pushed by a number of people, and he fired me from the cabinet at the time. And it was kind of tough at the time, because I'd loved the job and the service I was giving to people, but I accepted the fact. And I never had any pretension of anger against Mr. Blaze. I understand what he was doing. I didn't like the fact that he formed a new party and kept it so-called party in government. To me, when a party wins an election, the only time the party should be out of government is when that party is a new election is called. So what Mr. Blaze do, definitely unconstitutional, if contested. But he had the support of the opposition, Brazan and NDC, who loved the split with the new national party, and because they saw me as a challenge, really. And therefore we got beaten badly in the general elections, and we won only 2 seats. And the TNP, Mr. Blaze form, got only 2 seats too. And Gary got 4, and the NDC got 7. Subsequently, 2 of Gary persons went over to NDC, and Ben Jones went to NDC. One of NDC and Ben Jones, Gary's went to NDC, and Ben Jones and the TNP went with he and Alan Walker that won the seat for TNP went, and so NDC had 10 persons in government, and we ended up in opposition with 2 seats. At the time. So the history of that period, unfortunately, is not known. There's a lot of misinformation about that period. Those who has a problem with Keith Mitchell, the person would want to twist it for their own, but they won't give it real facts. I have no reason to twist the facts at all, because you would say, in effect, that I have been reasonably successful in the political arena. There's no need for me to try to twist facts about that particular period.